Life throws all sorts of things our way, and sometimes we just need a minute. So sit back, relax, and take a moment with me. Hello, friends. My name is Laken Carter, and welcome to the podcast. My first ever podcast and my first ever episode on my first ever podcast. I am so excited that you are here, that you clicked on this episode, that you're listening to me talking into a microphone in my office. It is very exciting for me. And I know that might sound silly or is silly, but it doesn't matter. I'm just excited and I'm thrilled that you're here. So to give you a little bit of an intro, this podcast is going to be me reading off my mindfulness intentions that I began creating in the yoga studio. I am a certified yoga instructor and fitness instructor around the GTA. But like to focus a lot on mindfulness as it is what made me fall in love with yoga at the beginning of my yoga journey, if you will. So anyways, I will not add this intro into every episode, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory of why this started and why this is important to me. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started every episode with just centering ourselves by taking a few intentional breaths. We breathe all day, every day. It is vital for our existence, but we don't really focus on many of those breaths. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, whatever activity you're focused in, or if you're resting, whatever you're doing, take a minute to just take some more intentional breaths. I always like to cue some nasal breaths as taking those deep inhales through the nose, filling up the belly, and exhaling back out through the nose stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest response rather than that fight or flight response. Continue on with that mindful breathing, maybe even relaxing a facial feature, unclenching the jaw or removing the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And let's go ahead and get started on my intention for today's episode. Healing isn't usually taking the fast lane down the highway. Healing usually is more like taking the back roads with potholes and dead ends, but you will get there. In a world of instant gratification, this concept is perhaps a hard thing to swallow. We become so impatient with the smallest things sometimes, never mind the big stuff. A grocery store line that takes way too long, or a coffee order that is late, a meeting you didn't really need to be at that takes up too much of your schedule. Often, though, when we're impatient with others, I think it boils down to being impatient with ourselves. We want to be all things, do all things, say all things, accomplish all things, in a world where saying no and slowing down are both looked down on by many. But healing takes time, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, or otherwise. It takes time and patience and love and understanding from both the healer and the one supporting the healer. So learn to appreciate those back roads, those potholes, and those dead ends. Learn the route so you know it better if you ever have to travel it again. And learn to live it and love it for what it is. Healing isn't usually taking the fast lane down the highway. Healing usually is more like taking the back roads with potholes and dead ends. But you will get there. Often you're not healing every part of you all at once. There is usually something soaring and speeding, while another is lagging and learning. Appreciate the parts that soar. Appreciate the parts that lag. You are healing something, and that healing might take more than just a few minutes, but you will get there. Continue taking a few more mindful breaths and sit in whatever space you are for however long you'd like, taking as many moments. And I will see you again next week for another episode. Bye, guys.